Peoples of the universe, please attend carefully. This is your spoiler warning. You'll not want to miss this new episode of Doctor Who. Stay clear of the internet. There are spoilers. There are big things. What can it be? Find out when you watch it on television, not via internet spoilers. Watch this episode as soon as you can on BBC iPlayer in the UK and Disney Plus where available.
BBC Whoniverse.
Now, normally, when I make these videos, I normally start off before the title sequence, saying, this video, this film, as I call them, contains spoilers for Wishworld. I'm not doing that this time. I am saying that just to make sure you're aware that this will contain spoilers for Wishworld, which has just came out. It's currently 11:09 on Saturday the 24th of May, 2025, which is rather annoying, slightly annoying, because I thought this episode was going to take place on the 24th of May. It didn't, right? Slightly annoying. They could have done something to amend that, right? Could have changed the date to the actual date the final episode was going to wear. Anyway, so I've got Russell T Davies at the beginning. He put this video online, which you've already seen now, where he does this every so often when there's an important element in a story, in the thing that needs no spoilers from the internet. So that I put that at the beginning because that short warning that if you've not seen Wishworld, well, don't watch this then, because I am going to give out some spoilers later on, hopefully at the back end of the review, if I can keep my excitement, because I was really bad at it last week. So last week I tried to keep in the fact that I want to review the Interstellar Song Contest. I don't want to talk about the exciting bits. The bits that are exciting. And then I said, no, I'm going to have to. But we've got 3 exciting bits in this episode as well. So let's talk about my real opinion of Wishworld. If we didn't have the 3 elements in it, because it's a 2-parter, you sort of have to have the episode that sets out the scene, sets up what's going to happen in the second part, sets up the whole idea of part 2. So I understand some of it for some people might be mundane. I originally thought, not a great episode this, but whilst watching it made me think, actually, it's really good. It feels too short in my opinion. It feels like not enough of the action happens until towards the very end, but I understand that that's what they need to do to make people want to watch part 2, and I feel that there's elements in it that feel a little bit dull, but what you have to do, really, is you have to say, right, I know the final's coming up, here are the characters that are going to appear in the final. Millie Gibson's Ruby Sunday, we've got Mel, we've got Unit, and we've got Ruth Madeley's character. The reason why I didn't say Mel's real name is because I, for a very brief moment, still got a blip of what the actress's name is. The actress's name is. I do apologise. It will come back to me. Don't we all, fret a tear. It's just really annoying me right now that I can't remember. And I think that what this series and what this era of Doctor Who's doing, from Ncuti's point of view, is that they're trying to say this is Doctor Who. Here are all the Doctors. My favourite bit from the non-3 exciting bits, which we're only 4 minutes into this, we can't get to those bits yet. I think it's got to be having Poppy return from Space Babies and have this fake family dynamic, because, I mean, as the Doctor's costume goes, I think the bowler hat really suits Ncuti. So I quite liked how Conrad was in it. The bit I really didn't like about Conrad, and I'll be honest, it's probably just a me thing, no one else probably agrees, but he kept saying, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who. And he's like, no, he's the Doctor. And clearly, he knows this, but why do you need to say Doctor Who, Doctor? And I quite liked how the whole element of the story. I'm going to really itchy, but I do apologise. I do really like how the element of the story is on itch, you know. I really do like how the element of the story used a fake Harry Potter cover book to represent the Doctor's story. And I think that that's what's really funny. I do think that it feels a lot, and I think that I don't know why Conrad would have done this, because he wished it all up. That it feels a very much 1950s element. It feels a lot like Lux, which I really enjoyed, and I think that it was an odd choice. If you could wish the world to be how you want it to be, I wouldn't say make everyone look like they're wearing 1950s clothing and make sure that everything that you would give them the giantest TV possible so they can see you on it, right? I mean, there's several issues with that. The other thing that I like to point out, really, is that Conrad seemed a lot weaker. So what I mean by that is that in Lucky Day, he seemed to have the upper power. He seemed to be this evil genius, but obviously, put in prison, and then Anita Dobson's character melding everything together and making him who he is. I can sort of see why it's a lot weaker than most villains you get in the show. Susan Twist's role it worked because in Devil's Court, her role in Devil's Court was quite good because we were trying to learn who she was, and I think that sort of, if you had to have a supporting role in Doctor Who, that ended up being a bigger role. I mean, that character is a good observational point because you can observe how you've altered the universe. And I really liked how the whole element of the world was based around doubt, and everything shouldn't be uniformed, and everything shouldn't be in one way. I quite liked how doubt played out throughout the story. Now that we've got 7 minutes in, right, I can't not talk about our first 2 points. So, the Doctor, played by Ncuti Gatwa, he is sat at home and he's watching, I think it's Conrad talking, whilst Belinda, at this point his wife, putting Poppy to sleep. Belinda's already had this doubt in her head that she didn't quite remember the birth of Poppy, because Poppy's a space baby, so it's like superhuman. And the events play out, and you sort of go, right. So he's trying to work out what's going on, he's having doubt, and then, I don't remember the character's name, I think it is Rogue. So in the episode Rogue from the last series, we got Jeffrey Goff, who is an American actor and musical performer, best known for his roles in, other than last series episode of Doctor Who, but he was really well known for Hamilton, the musical. My name is Alexander Hamilton. I mean, Martha. Yeah, I'm not going to sing the words because I probably can't. And so he appears as his character from last series, right? And I'm like, whoa, shifting a gear, whoa. We went for gentle niceness, everything going la-di-dee, la-di-da, la-di-dee, la-di-da. And then immediately, gear shift, boom, there he is, looking like he's in hell. Or a version of evilness, a version of what humans and what we as a species sort of think would be the depth of our hatred. Red, fire, orange. And I think that what makes that element work is obviously he said, "I love you," which correlates to the fact that it proves the point that if you had any doubt that there's some trick of the mind or whatever, it is the same character that the Doctor once knew. And I think he's not going to be Rogue, really, right? I think Rogue was never a real character. I don't think Jeffrey Goff is really who he says he is, right? I think in reality, he is the Master. I think he's going to be the Master. I think there's going to be something that says the Master's always been in love with the Doctor, and that's going to be it. That's going to be the thing, right? That's going to be the thing. I hope it's not, because I do think that having a rogue alien falling in love with the Doctor rather than it have to be the Master, I think that would work a lot better. But I can sort of sense that might happen. Then the other thing, now that we're at the 10-minute and 52 mark, in my audio's recording, it might not be the same with the video. I'm not saying the timestamps exactly. I'm just saying what I've got from down here is you get this element. It doesn't say anything. It might be the same shot from the last episode, but you get a glimpse of Susan. I had to laugh in hysterics again. You go from this. Oh, everything's a beautiful day. Good morning, world. Hello. Oh, I've got some doubt. Oh no. Oh no. Doubt. Ruby Sunday's trying to work out what to do, and she's met all these disabled people because she recognises Shirley from Unit, Hebe Harris, in my opinion, and she sees Shirley and all this. Ruby's having this doubt, and we've got enough of Ruby in this episode that we need, so that Ruby can help change for the final, and all that's going on. But we've got Rogue, obviously, from last series, and Susan again. I'll be surprised if Susan doesn't appear. I won't be surprised if Susan doesn't appear in the final. She's got to at this point. She's got to appear in the flesh at this point. Thank you very much. You look at it and go, yes, I need Susan back. Come on, Susan. Return in flesh, please. I think that will happen. And Mel being there. So, let's say, we've spoke about Rogue from last year. We spoke about Susan returning, which is the first in the top 3 best moments of this episode. That's going to be at number 1, because that's a start of everything shifting. That's the start of when you go, oh, this episode is a lot different than what it was, right? And number 2, at the point where the Doctor doesn't know it's him because of the wish world and everything that's altered around him, we're at the 13-minute mark, so I think I can safely say, if you've seen the episode by now, the rest of it won't be a spoiler. I mean, I don't know what you're doing if you're watching this and you haven't seen it yet, because you will be spoiled massively. So we're sat there, right? Everything's going fine. We've just had Susan, we've just had Rogue. He doesn't know who he is, and doubts and all this. We get to what seems to be a Avengers Tower-esque building where the Rani, played by Anita Dobson, is, and the definitive article version of the Rani that we saw at the very beginning of the one that utilises more of the atmosphere from Interstellar Song Contest, and the one that appeared at the very beginning when she stole a baby. Those children didn't run fast enough, and they said, "Go, run, kids!" They were quite slow, so I mean, I wasn't too surprised at that because they were quite slow. Anyway, and we get to this point, and you look at it going, yeah. So the Doctor is then reminding him who he is. He's been tricked this entire series. Everything's hunky dory. If you think about it, it's like who am I? Da 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 da. Right. So you get to the point where in the last series when he met Rogue, you had all the heads spinning around. In the story in the engine, you got a glimpse of all these other Doctors. And in this one, we got a 100% in colour contrast of all the most of the Doctors. The reason why I say most is because we've got some special editions. Usually, on these little clip bits, you make sure they get all the Doctors, but they don't really do much with the extras. So in this one, John Hurt, as the War Doctor, was in the brief shot. Joe Martin, the Master, and Joe Martin's the Fugitive Doctor, I do apologise, also made a cameo in that shot. And then, this is the bit you sort of have to look at and go, that's really odd. So in 2022, it was the 100th anniversary of the BBC. They decided to do a 100th anniversary edition of Doctor Who. So William Russell, his final appearance in Doctor Who was in the Companion Support Group, which I so want a spin-off for, whether or not that's on TV, on audio, or on a podcast. I need that as a spin-off. Fan versions need to happen. We need more of this. So you sort of get this aspect, and there's an element where the Doctor, played by at that time Jodie Whittaker, you get her standing in this sort of guardianess realm, and there's different versions of the Doctor. And at that point, you get Paul McGann in what is now deemed his Big Finish attire. The short hair, the Big Finish clothing. He's no longer TV film Masked Doctor. He is Night of the Day. I think the mini-sode was called. He is this different type of Doctor. So in that shot, where we get a brief snippet of William Hartnell in colour, Patrick Troughton in colour, boo, boo, boo. Before we get to the War Doctor, which again, I think it's the shot. I think it's the last time we saw the War Doctor shot. I don't think it's any new composite shot, because really, for those type of shots, if you want to create a new shot with the War Doctor, for example, you don't need the actor there, because sadly, John Hurt's no longer with us. But you can sort of compromise it with some digital effects. And when you look, and you think, that is really odd. So it's the Paul McGann from the 2022 episode. So that means that something weird's going on. Paul McGann's going to appear properly at some point, but it just means something's not right. Because every time you see Paul McGann now, when they show a clip from a thing he's in, you never get the same shot of Paul McGann. So it's quite interesting. And so you get this shot of he then realises who he is. Well, you get a similar shot for the Rani, where he's working out who the Rani is, with different elements of the Rani from the stories, such as Time of the Rani and all that jazz. You sort of get it in our heads and in the heads of the fans, is that yes, that really is the Rani. We're not pulling any punches. So now that we've got to the 18-minute mark ish, because we had a bit of a cut there because I had a cough. We had a cut, so it's technically really we're at the back end of the review now, right? I'm going to tell you my overall thoughts and my rating, if we're going to give it a rating type thing, and how I think that this episode compares to previous episode in this series. We'll get on to that in a bit, because we want this video to be longer than the last one, which is the last review. So I think 25 minutes-ish is the length we want to go. So you sort of look at it and think, right, so we've got the Rani, definitely. We've got the Doctor remembering who he is, and there's shots of the fugitive Doctor, the War Doctor, and Paul McGann in it, right? Yeah. We've got Susan Twist back for a brief cameo. We've got Poppy from Space Babies, yep. And we've had Susan and Rogue appear, yes. What could happen next? What could be the next thing that changes everything? What could be the bit that alters the way everyone thinks about it? What is the next element to go, wow, we're bringing we're bringing so many characters back, it's unbelievable, right? What could it be? So I'm sat there watching it, and I predict when they're talking about this god, this element, this character that is the next piece of the puzzle, the character that everyone loves. We've had a shot of the symbol of Rassilon, so we know that something's going to happen. We know throughout Rassilon's mentioned, the Rani's there, what's going to happen. She's a time lady. Does that mean that the Doctor's... Is the Doctor a Time Lord still, because he turned into Joe Martin and to Jodie Whittaker? Is the Master still a Time Lord because he changed into Michelle Gomez? Is the Time Lord still Time Lord? Well, she might be a Time Lady because she might have started out as a lady and never actually regenerated at any point in the cycle of the history of the character, whether that's on TV or on radio or TV or on Big Finish audio. So at some point, she must have not ever transformed into a man to be a Time Lord, so she'll be permanently a Time Lady no matter what happens. I think that's how it works. I don't know that much. So that's what I mean, speaking generally. Anyway, so you get this element and you think, and I thought to myself at that point, I said under my breath, the Trickster. I'm thinking, we're gonna have the Trickster back. What else could it be? And she goes on with herself. And when they did the review, I was wondering if I had the figure up here. No, I don't have the figure up here. It's around the corner over there. That really doesn't help. But when I thought, right, that is an incredible villain to return, we ended up having... It made me think, the Five Who fans, who are a Doctor Who collective YouTube group in the WhoTuber market, who don't do anything anymore. Every so often they come back, but each week it would have been a different upload from a different Doctor Who creative, and sometimes you do music parodies, sketches, audio fan series, reviews, satirical breakdowns of elements of Doctor Who, discussions, and all that jazz. And it was a cracking YouTube channel. And Chris Johnson was on it, who ended up working in the CBC office, who made his personality on that Doctor Who. Anyway, so now that we've got to the 23-minute mark, in the audio recording, that does include the little break that wasn't there. We are going to talk about this element. The element that left the episode a cliffhanger. The element of all elements. I'm going to give a round of applause. Welcome back. Long deserved return. I don't know how they're going to update the costume, because the costume wasn't... If you think about bad classic Who costumes, right, this one wasn't bad at all. I mean, you could probably make it more shinier, right? You could probably add some more elements. But I like to say, welcome back. He is a Time Lord. He's got no head. If you take the mask off, he's got no head. Literally no head. The word, if you say so many times, will become boring and will become weird to say. And will become a word that you wouldn't be able to say properly, it's the one and only Omega. Omega. Yes. So he didn't return in flesh. We didn't see him. We heard the words. We saw the name. He's going to appear in the next episode for definite. What a way to end this series, right? You bring back Omega, and it's like, wow. That is incredible, insane, and I don't think you can do anything more to it, right? So you've got Susan, Rogue. Well, the classic Who-wise, you've got Susan, you've got the Rani, and now you've got Omega. New Who-wise, you've obviously got Ruby Sunday returning from the last series, and Rogue. So, I think the Reality War, which is going to air at 6:50 p.m. on BBC One, and similar time around the world on Disney Plus where applicable, and in cinemas, won't air at 8 a.m. on the iPlayer, so won't we be able to review it early, which is good, because that's how Doctor Who should be. We're going to have Susan probably returning, the Rani getting her comeuppance, Omega with an updated costume probably, but probably will probably. I don't know. We don't need a Tales from the TARDIS. That isn't what we need. What we need really is just more of the same thing, more of this, right? I just think this is incredible. People are fed up of having the ending be this bombastic ending, going wow. I just think every episode should be this wow. We should have returning characters from episode 1 of the next series, series 16, to the final episode. We should have returning characters in each episode, like characters that are integral pieces of the puzzle. We need includes like a companion return, and in the end, it's like an evil villain, but you have these elements return. We should have something in between all of it. But overall, I loved. Right, Wish World. I mean, at the beginning I thought, oh, this ain't great. But by the end of it, I loved it. So I do think the beginning bit was a little bit of a letdown compared to where we were with the Interstellar Song Contest. But I think that the ending really saved the episode for me. So my one big negative, it's like the one big thanks after one show. My one big negative for this episode will be the beginning bit. But I do think you have to set up the world. You have to set up what's going to happen. So, if I had to give this a rating at 11:36 a.m., I had to give this a rating out of 10, which I hate doing, but sometimes you have to. I'm going to give this, I think, I'm going to give it a 9. I gave the Interstellar Song Contest a 10, but I'm going to give this a 9 because of the beginning bit. So, without further ado, that was my review of Wish World. I think Comrade and Comrade's Baby is going to be a integral part in the next one, and I think the whole Wish element of the world worked really well once you sort of piece together the puzzles at the end. On its own, I don't think it worked that well. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye. Don't forget to subscribe to the official Tom Mason YouTube channel